Hi, Waterloo High School athletics family. Wanted to send this video out and just kind of talk to everybody about everything going on in the world of athletics right now. Plus, at the very end, we'll talk paperwork for our fall athletes. So, everybody stick around. I will let you know when it's time for just our fall athletes to have their fall meeting. And that's what we're going to do with it right now. Our parent meeting for the fall, we're going to do it. Directly after this little informational video. But goings on in the world of athletics. Um, First off, let's talk about seasons. Right now in the world of IHSA, our fall season is boys and girls golf, girls tennis, and cross country. Those are the only sports competing um, currently in fall sessions. Everything else has been moved around. Your winter sports right now are on for November 15th, 16th, somewhere in that time range, to start with a November 30th being your first days of competition. Your traditional fall sports of football, soccer, volleyball have been moved to early spring, and you're going to be looking at a February and March time frame somewhere around in there with everything. And then your traditional spring sports are now going to be starting after those traditional fall sports that are now the spring sports of football and all of that. So you're going to be looking at somewhere around May and June for your spring sports of baseball, softball, track, all of those types of things. So that's where we're at with those things. We've been asked by the IHSA to have some flexibility and some patience. And so I want to pass that message on to all of our parents and athletes out there as well. There is a chance that those seasons could change, become longer, become shorter, based on all of those things. Right now, our winter, spring, which would be again the traditionally fall sports that aren't competing right now of football and those, and then our summer sports, which are our traditionally spring sports of baseball, softball, track. We have been limited to 2 contests per week. So your schedules are going to look a little different. Again, some of this may change by the time November comes around. And so we're asking for some flexibility with everything that as things change, we will get that info out to everybody as soon as possible with how those things are looking. So that's where we're at right now in the world of athletics with IHSA. And again, I want everybody to know at the end of the day, the deciding factor for us here at Waterloo is the health and safety of our student athletes. If we feel like it isn't a safe situation or it isn't going to be safe to do this, we're not going to put them in that situation, regardless of what the rules and regulations stated are. So our mission is to provide a great experience for our student athletes, and part of that means keeping them safe, keeping them healthy with everything. On that note, the role of athletics here at Waterloo, I think, is yes, to provide a great experience for our student athletes, but to help them grow as people as well as athletes. And that first part, helping them grow as people, is much more important than the helping them grow as athletes, I feel like. And on that note, we are going to have some things come out, some videos come out, and other information on our plan to do that. In weeks to come, our coaches are sitting down right now talking about some things. So a little teaser here that we're going to have an announcement on some stuff with that, some character words, some other things for our athletes in the coming weeks with everything that I'm really excited about. So parents, I ask for flexibility from you, some understanding from you as well, to help us help your kids and to provide the best experience. Again, practices, games are going to look a little bit different this year. Things will not be normal. And we really ask for your help in that, of watch the words you say, watch the tone you say them in, and everything. Because your sons and daughters are taking their cues from you. And if you're extremely negative about a situation, chances are they will be too. And so I really want us to work together as a team to provide a great experience for our kids. And that goes along hand in hand with the words you're saying, the things you're saying, the tone you're saying them in. So I'm asking everyone to just be flexible, be cognizant of what we're saying, how we're saying it, and know that we are trying our best here at Waterloo to provide a top-notch experience for your sons and daughters. A couple of quick things before we go into our fall meeting. Access of the schedule, if you're looking for schedules, and again, all of our schedules right now will be up in flux a little bit with things. Give us some time on that because we're still waiting on guidelines from the Department of Health, from IHSA, from all of those things. But you can find them on our website. We will have them linked up there when we are done with them and when we have a final schedule with everything. Right now, girls tennis should be up. Boys golf should be up. And then I'm waiting on girls golf and cross country. Right now, we're still trying to figure out a couple of logistics things, and then we're going to have them linked up real soon as well. It was just with all the regulations and the rules coming down, we had to revamp a lot of schedules. So those will be coming up. Also follow us on Twitter at WCUSD5 Athletics, because any changes in schedules that day, if there's rain, if there's that, it'll go up on Twitter as well as the live feed on the website. So you can check the website if you don't want to do Twitter. But we're looking at doing some new things with Twitter too, sending video out, new content, those types of things as well. So give us a follow. It could be a lot of fun. We want a lot of followers with that. But make sure you're checking on the live feed and Twitter for those daily things with weather and with cancellations and those things as well. Practices and expectations. So here we're going to jump into those fall sports things. So everybody else, if you want to continue watching and listening, would love to have you. If you're a fall sport athlete or parent, please continue to follow us and watch this video with it. So here we go, practices and expectations of those things. We completely understand with us being remote, the challenges of getting your sons and daughters to practices, especially our underclassmen who can't drive yet. Our coaches, we've talked with them. We're going to be very flexible with it, and your sons and daughters will not be punished if they cannot make it to a practice because they don't have a ride. We completely understand that. All we ask and our coaches ask is that you communicate really well. And again, this goes back to those life skills that we're trying to teach our student athletes. And communicating is a very big one. Send your coaches a text, call them, whatever it is that your coaches decide how they want to handle that. Please be proactive in that and letting them know, hey, coach, mom and dad are working, couldn't get a ride, whatever it is, that's fine. Again, they're not going to be punished for those types of things. Our coaches completely understand that. Please be flexible with everything. Again, like I stated earlier, things are changing almost daily for us in the world of athletics with what we can do, what we can't do, what our schedules look like, those types of things. So please be flexible with us as well. As new things come out, we will convey that to you through videos like this, through Twitter, through the live feed, emails, in a variety of ways to get the message out of what's going on with sports and everything. So please be flexible. Please understand that we are trying to make this work for every student. And that can be very difficult sometimes. So we really appreciate your flexibility with it. Again, our biggest concern will always be the health and well-being of the student athletes. And so any decision we make is going to be, first and foremost, that will be the first thing we look at. Is it going to be safe and healthy for our student athletes? Competitions, again, this year, it's going to look a little bit different. There might be some matches, games that we normally play that we don't. We have to play within our COVID region, which limits a little bit. We're very lucky that most of our schedule is in our COVID region anyway. with that. And we can also play conference as well. So if any of our conference schools are out of our COVID region, we can still play them. So you can play within your conference or within your COVID region. So things will look a little bit different. We also have to be very careful of no more than 50 in an area. And the guidelines that the IDPH, the Illinois Department of Public Health, has put out. So our cross country is going to look a whole lot different because we can't send our kids to a meet where there's 200 other kids. And even if those rules and regulations weren't in place, again, we're looking at the health and safety of the student athletes. I don't know if that's a great situation to be putting them in. So cross country is going to look a lot different this year as well. So just bear with us with the competitions and know that we're trying to make the best out of a really, really tough situation. And I know it's not ideal, but we're still getting to compete in the fall. And I think that's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest takeaway that we want to have from this is it doesn't look the same as other falls and those things, but at least we're getting to compete, which is a whole lot better than not being able to compete at all. So bear with us. We're still working on some schedules. We're still working on some of the other things around it of what these seasons are going to look like. And how we're going to do things. So it'll look different. Please just bear with us a little bit and know that we're doing all these things to keep your sons and daughters safe. The last thing we're going to talk about right now with fall sports is paperwork. Physicals will be the first thing that I want to talk about. Everybody got these packets from your coaches, or hopefully did. The physicals were the green one. You cannot participate without a physical. That means no tryouts, no anything until we have a physical on file. Most physicals last a little over a year. But again, just because you got one last August, it's going to expire before your season is up. Make sure that you have a current physical. Get it to us at the high school as soon as possible so your son or daughter can compete with that, because our coaches will have a list up to date. And if we do not have a physical on file, we will not let them compete or try out or practice or do anything. So make sure that you have that. Our next piece of paper in the packet was the yellow one, and that is your emergency medical treatment form for the athletes. Your coaches keep this one. Make sure you fill it out because your coaches will use this in case of an emergency, something happens. They will have information to give to trainers, paramedics, doctors, whoever is around with those types of things. So this is a very, very important piece of paper for our coaches. So please get this filled out as well. The white one in your packet is our concussion form and the information sheet. It talks about the symptoms of the concussion, our concussion testing, and all of those types of things. Make sure you sign that, get that back to it. Very important to read this one over as well. So make sure you do that. And then the last one we're going to go over right now is the standards and waivers form. Normally this is pretty straightforward with everything, but down here, as you can see, we've had in years past the number of games for a suspension. Our expectations are that our student athletes are going to do the right thing, and I don't even want to have to worry about this year. But if it does happen, please note that due to the IHSA changes in the length of a season due to the COVID-19, all suspensions will be based on the number of games scheduled for that sport. So again, in years past, picking it out, golf, normally you've had a lot more games. You've had 18 matches, so a suspension would be 4 matches. That might change this year based on our rules for the COVID and those types of things. So please remember this is our guidelines right here. but those suspensions, and again, I'm not planning on having any. Our athletes are wonderful athletes. Please continue to do the right thing, especially in a shortened season like this. We sure don't want you to miss any extra matches and those types of things. But just to be clear, because of COVID, our number of games that we can play has changed. So those numbers will be a little bit different. And again, you're going to sign that on the back. The sheets, the yellow ones definitely go to your coach. If you want to hand them all into your coach, feel free to do that. Your coaches will get those to the office. Again, most years, we see our student athletes every day towards the beginning of a season, and they can just bring them in with them to school. Obviously, with us going remote, it's a little bit different. If you want to bring them into the high school, please feel free to do so. If you just want to bring them to that first day of tryouts and hand them to your coaches, you can do that as well, because our coaches will then take care of everything. So any other questions, email me, bunger@wcusd5.net. Call me. I will be more than happy to answer any questions. Like I said earlier, very excited that we do get to have fall sports and that there's a plan in place for all the other sports. So we're looking forward to a great fall with everything, and athletes continue to work hard, and we're very excited to have you back on campus competing. Thank you very much, and go Dogs!